everyone, J-Rob Place here, and today I'm going to be going over one of the most difficult GMs to do in this lineup that we have for the season or the episode, and that's going to be the Psi Ops Battleground Moon. This particular GM is not only like one of the longer ones just because of the way that everything is set up, it's going to be a high enemy density one where the enemies can kill you rather quickly if you're out in the open. So in this build, I'm going to focus on staying invisible and being able to support my teammates and keep them up. As titled by the videos, you can see I'm going to title the video something along the lines of Res Simulator. That's going to play out here. It's going to ring true here because I believe my teammates died 20 plus times in combination. I'm going to put a counter up on the screen so that way you guys can see that and keep track of just how many times they get wiped out. But like I said, with this particular build, you're going to be able to carry your teammates no matter who you get from LFG. And that's why I make these videos to help LFG players. And also I allow two players to come with me during my run. Even though I can solo these runs, I like to help at least two people get through. The only thing that I do get annoyed with really is when people try to like kind of command you to do things whenever you're just kind of doing your thing, not dying and carrying the team, and they're there in chat like, come on, move up, res, stuff like that. That does get a little under my skin sometimes, especially if I am like stressing myself out to kind of carry these players through the GM and risking myself, my positioning for those people. So you may see me get a little salty in this one just because of the fact that I did have to do that plenty of times, even though I've rescued people from certain bad areas, they go right back to those bad areas and die again. But we still got it done, and you'll see that full run here. I'm just going to go over the build now. So for the build, we're looking at the Night Stalker build, and this is my invisibility build. This one is going to be focusing on a little faster invisibility regeneration. Normally, I will go with the Gambler's Dodge to get back my Snare Bomb, so that way I can do my Trapper's Ambush, Quick Fall to get my invisibility. In this case, I'm going with Marksman Dodge because with the Graviton Forfeit Helmet that I'll be using as my exotic, you can actually get your Snare Bomb back in the time that you're invisible from the Marksman Dodge. And also I've set up my mod so that when I do dodge, I get some of my Snare Bomb energy back, and I'll show you that in the mod section as well. So again, for the aspects, we're going Vanishing Step, dodge and makes you invisible. Trapper's Ambush, whenever you do your air move, after you jump, you'll do Quick Fall and go invisible. You can also make your teammates invisible. I believe you'll see me a couple times res somebody and then do a Quick Fall right behind that so that they don't get wrecked. That way they can move invisibly. And if they recognize that and don't shoot or do anything to remove that invisibility, they can get safely to another position to continue to play the game, right? For the fragments, we're going with Echo of Persistence. That's going to increase my invisibility time. That again allows my Snare Bomb to come back from my dodge while I'm invisible, and vice versa. If you stay invisible longer, you'll actually generate your other ability a little bit quicker because of the ability of the Graviton Forfeit and just the way the 100 kit works. I also have 100 mobility, 100 resilience, and 100 strength to help boost those. For the Echo of Dilation, it's just for extra mobility. I don't ever really use it to sneak faster while crouched. Melee regeneration starts health regeneration from the Echo of Leeching. Sometimes you can actually punch something and save yourself in this GM. I tend to finish things, but if there's not like a finished enemy around, I can still punch a Thrall or something like that. And then of course the 10 resilience helps my stats. And this is the big one for additional invisibility in this GM is finishers grant invisibility, and it gives me 10 recovery. So Echo of Obscurity is another change to this kit that I use whenever I'm doing something more difficult. Now for the setup on the armor pieces, you'll see here that I'm going to just be focusing on ability generation and survival. So for the ability generation, we've got utility kickstart. So when I dodge, I get back a portion of my dodge. I also get back a portion of my melee. When I use my grenade, I get back a portion of my class ability. And then if I get somebody hit with a smoke from my dash and my quick fall, that'll actually give me back a little bit of class ability too. So that's going to be the main ability regeneration portion outside of orbs. So creating orbs, I'm going to be using my bow a lot. So I use rapid kinetic final blows to create orbs. That's going to be kinetic siphon. That's only 2 energy. And then I did a harmonic siphon. So that way if I happen to get some rapid final blows with my heavy, which was also void, I can get a few orbs that way too. And of course, heavy ammo finder to help get additional heavy ammo because it's scarce in this GM. Concussive dampener helps a lot. There's a lot of enemy boomers and a lot of area of effect damage, especially from the Savathuns, for example. When you're in the final chamber and you're fighting in the boss chamber, and there's 2 Savathuns, and one of them is trying to hit you with their lightning attack, either the one with the lightning strike or the orbs of lightning that come at you in a stream. This will help reduce that damage. Of course, arc resistance is strong there too, and you'll see these two in combination save my life once during the time where I go pick up a spear and get hit with the area of attack from Savathun. void resistance for anything that's going to be firing at you. It's like a steady stream of void. So this will be the Shriekers and the Ogres. And then if I pick up orbs, I'll get all my ability cooldowns back with Absolution. I'll get health back to keep me alive with recuperation. And insulation will help me get my class ability back so I can, say, run over a couple of orbs after I've dodged to fill back up my dodge so that I have that ready to be used again back to back. And that's a really good way to take advantage of the invisibility kit to keep yourself alive. There's not a whole lot in the Tablet of Ruin necessarily to help you out, but if I were going to rebuild this, because again, this is built for a different build, I would go with like something like Volatile Marksman, and you decide to go with Le Monarch, for example, like, and you're doing something like a Strand sidearm, you can go with Unraveling Orbs, but you can also just pick up something that helps some of the weapons that you're using, like if you go with Subjugation. In this case, nothing here is helping me out, so you can just pick whatever to move along. So just like Overlock and Load. The Overclock and Load helps when you're amplified, but we're not going to be using arc weapons, but that's just to move along. The next thing that you could use is if you're going with something that's matching your super, for example, going with a Void Weapon, this here will allow me to get additional elemental pickups. This also will work with my build because I'm using the bow as a primary bow Wish Ender, so rapid final blows with my bow will allow me to get additional void breaches, which help get health, give you overshield, help you stay alive. This one here, if you have something that's going to be suppressing anything that's got like exhaust on it, so like overload machine gun, overload trace rifles, Le Monarch, you can use something like Disruptor Spike. If you're doing something like a glaive, you can also use this as well, but again, you'll just need to pick one thing to move up forward. And in this case, I was using a Psychopomp on this run, so I would have gone with like Dielectric, and Overclock and Load actually does work with my setup on that. Now we're looking at Malign Harvest. Rapidly Applying Volatile will give us a Weakening Burst. That's something, again, if you're using a Void Weapon, you'll want to take advantage of that. When you gain maximum bolt charge, which I will be doing because of the Psychopomp build that I have, Flashover will work for me in this particular instance. And then Dreadful Finisher, this will just give me special ammo when I finish champions. So again, I'm using a linear that's going to be Particle Reconstruction. And if I do happen to use a bolt charge and get a heal off of that, Defibulating Blast, of course, will kick in. And then Stunning Champions, same thing, you'll get bolt charge when you stun a champion. So that's going to be the setup that I would use for the Tablet of Ruin on this. Now again, for the weapons, like I mentioned on the weapon side, I'll be using the Wish Ender. The Wish Ender can see through walls, so you know where enemies are positionally. It chews through shields really well, especially when you have it matching your element for the week. And so this week that I did it, it was Void and Arc. Right now, this week that I'm making the video, it's Void and Strand. So if you have your super matching either of those, your bow will be overcharged. I have the Psychopomp, which has Envious Arsenal and Rolling Storm. And really, Rolling Storm is the thing that matters the most. It doesn't matter if you take advantage of Envious Arsenal or not. That's just good for like a boss rotation, for example. But Rolling Storm, I was able to lay out Psychopomp throughout areas and then go back into cover and allow Psychopomp to tick on enemies, giving me Rolling Storm, which will help then do a discharge when I use my Wish Ender, or if I do a melee, for example, like a quick fall, it'll discharge as well, and it'll kill enemies in my area and help me clear the area for reses. And then, of course, Doom Petitioner. Storm Chaser was good on that week when Arc was available, but right now it's Void and Strand, so I recommend Doom Petitioner. Any of these, the 3-round burst linear fusion rifles are very strong. Mine has Reconstruction and Precision Instrument, so the more shots that I land on target, the more damage it actually does. And you'll see that here. It's the same damage, increases precision damage, so it's a nice combination, and it will reload while it's stowed, so that's fantastic for me and the way that I play in my playstyle. As for the mods go, I actually had Power of Ambition in this case. This allows this weapon to be strong against overload champions, and I believe it will allow it to exhaust targets as well, kind of like that overload rounds. And so when you blanket an area, it'll actually count as rapid hits. Enemies in your area will not only take damage from the ticking from the actual weapon from the area denial frame, but then you'll get blight rounds on top of it, so it increases that for this weapon. And you can use this even if it's not a burn, just for its utility, because enemies will try to hide behind corners and things, and you can just blanket the area and it'll force the enemy out. Enemy wizards are notorious for this, and that's what I would recommend as well. And since this linear does a lot of damage against champions, it really burns them pretty quickly, so you don't always get to use this. But just in case I'm low in my magazine and I stun the champion, I get a full magazine back so that I can make sure to finish the champion before he can get away or begin attacking me again. So that's going to be my whole setup for the build. From here, we're going to drop into the actual run, and you'll be able to see how I handle all the situations, how I save my teammates, so that you can position yourself in the same way if you're doing the same thing on your run. And then I'll be doing commentary commentary over the run as well, so that way you can kind of see my thinking behind some of the moves that I make. And hopefully this will help you get this particular hard GM done for your Conqueror title, or if you're trying to get a specific weapon during your time, because again, you can choose in the rotator now which GM you want to do if you've already done Conqueror one time, and hopefully this helps you get that weapon as well. I'll see you guys in the run. So after dropping in, you're actually in a kind of a safe area on this one. If this is your first time running through this, you're going to end up trying to take out as many enemies as you can from the bridge. If you're running this build, you're going to stay back and you're going to try to take advantage of your range. The strongest weapon in your arsenal is going to be your bow. You can shoot through the knight's shields, as you see there, when they're trying to regenerate health, and prevent them from just being unkillable by regenerating health over and over again. They do it very frequently. And you'll be able to also pop their shields if they have one of the moths on them, and you can kill the moth from range as well with good aim. And so it's really strong to kind of sit here in this archway and just pick at enemies from safety, so you don't have to end up like the two teammates over there who are struggling a little bit and already half dead. Now once the knight comes through, as you see here, I'm trying to push him into his shield. I want to make sure that I can hit him with the bow right before he actually gets the shield fully up, so that he stops regeneration. And then the grenade is a great area denial grenade. And you can actually kill a bunch of the smaller enemies with that weakening grenade as well. You can see here the Doom Petitioner is chewing through the Unstoppable, no problem. That's why I like running the Doom Petitioner whenever there's a void or any kind of an overcharge for linears. And thankfully for the season 2, in this season, we have the Unstoppable linear. When you have that selected, I'm not sure everybody knows, but when you have those selected, your champion mods are going to make those particular weapons, that weapon type, in this case linears, and fusions, also overcharge for the activity. So you can run Storm Chaser still, if you really have like a love for Storm Chaser, and that's the one that you want to run over Doom Petitioner, the same 3-round burst. You can run other linears as well, and they're going to also have that overcharge, whichever your favorite one is. As you see here, I'm taking advantage of my Psycho Pump or Aerial Denial Grenade to fill up that tunnel, because the ads love to run through there and gather, and they will overwhelm you if you're not careful. Obviously there's no radar, so if you're not paying attention, they can run right upon you, and you won't even know they're there. The quick dodge that I did is because I recognized that the ship had locked onto me, and the ship cannon will one-shot you, so just be ready for that. I tried to go up and get a finish, and in this case the teammate got it, so I had to get out of there quickly so that I didn't get shot and killed by the ship at the same time as my teammate, and we get wiped right there. That has happened and will happen. And then what I do next is I look for the next target that's going to be the biggest threat. So I saw that that target was low health, and I took it down. Even though it's going to res itself here in a little bit, I still took it down so that it wasn't out there just throwing shields at us. And now I'm starting to work on anything that was in my view without exposing myself too much. Because if I'm too far up, you see a lot of the enemy attacks are landing at the edge of the doorway. They'll still splash to the doorway and kill you. So try to make sure that you're watching your positioning and you're gathering your data with quick peeks, so that way you can take out the threats without exposing yourself too much. Now here is the invisibility resing starting out. I believe that's the first death. Like I said, I'm going to have a counter there at the bottom each time one of the teammates dies, and we'll see who dies the most and how much the actual total is. Because like I said, it gets up into the 20s, and you know, if you don't believe me, you'll see it yourself. And I was kind of in disbelief that we actually used up as many of the reses as we did. I want to say we finished without any at all. I want to say we had 0 reses, and it wasn't because we went to the darkness timer, it's because they chewed through the reses themselves between the two of them. And just wild to me. Like, you think you die once, all right, whatever, it was a mistake. You die twice, it's like, all right, I gotta rethink what I'm doing. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, it's like, okay, maybe I should stay back and let everybody else handle this and just kind of contribute what I can. And so again, I'm making sure the knight can't get his shield up using the Wishinder, and you can hold your draw at the maximum draw and hit the knight right as he puts the shield down, and it'll knock him out of his shield. Now, since the knight can shield up and it can get its shields back while the chaos is happening, I took care of the Unstoppable first, and then I'm going to take care of the Blistered Knight, because those knights themselves are not going to be able to kind of put you in a position where you lose track of it and it gets all its health back, and then you got to start over on the ad. I put the bow here just in case the enemies retreat or the enemies on top move forward. In this case, I believe that Barrier Knight does step back into it. died beforehand, and those knights actually stayed in their position, so unfortunately the bow didn't do too much. It was just me asserting dominance at this point.
Guess we can forget about the element of surprise. Hard to hide a giant Cabal Brock.
Now from here, I try to see if I can get an angle on some of the enemies moving up through there, and I said I'm not really going to be able to see much shoot through that, so I just got on the rocks. But the left wall area is going to be where the enemies are spawning from. Try to pick out what you can with your bow, and then if you have something like this Meteor's Knight, or if you have a knight that's going to explode on you, you want to focus that with your heavy if your teammates are near to save the reses, and if there's meteors going out, you want to be able to track the meteors and knock them out of the air, so that again, you don't waste the res for your teammate.
We can't reclaim the stolen light, but we can punish the Hive for their blasphemy. Target every tribute bearer.
Now with these light bearers, if you have somebody in your team, then you recognize that they're running the build that I'm running, where there's an invisibility build around, you're going to want to leave those little tokens that they drop on the ground so that your teammate with invisibility can go pick them up. And as you'll see here, I'll be able to pick it up invisible, run and dunk it while still invisible, and then remain invisible as I leave and reposition. So the enemies that are around there take damage too when you dunk, and if you allow your teammate invisibly to do that 2 or 3 times, it'll pretty much clear all the small enemies out of the plate, and all you have to do is deal with the larger enemies like the Unstoppables, the Wizards, the Shriekers that spawn. Here I pop my super to help prevent the barrier from moving. They're not supposed to really run away like it did while they're suppressed, but it just ignored the bow itself and just jumped off. I'm dropping my aerial denial to protect my right side just in case enemies try to move up into that space. And also I try to kind of tag the wizards with my psychopomp, so that way the wizards can't regenerate their shield, and it puts them in a situation or in a position where they can easily be picked at by myself or my teammates. Now it's good that my teammate is running a ice or stasis build to freeze the targets around them. However, you have to make sure that if you're running that stasis build, you're putting your turrets in places that are going to kind of take up the most traffic, and you're going to want to make sure that when they're frozen that you're shattering them. In this case, my teammate, it looks like was just throwing the turret out there just randomly and wasn't really babysitting the enemies that got frozen from that, so that way it could take advantage of the shatter on that. But that's what I would do if I was in his position, is I would get a turret out like kind of central and then see where it freezes enemies and make sure that I'm following up with a shatter on those enemies. So here you can see I'm dunking, I go invisible, no longer a threat, and now I'm able to pick up the enemy, teammate that's down here. And as you can see how I'm looping my invisibility with the short cooldown on the marksman dodge, and then the cooldown from the quick fall on my melee, on my smoke bomb, I'm able to pretty much stay invisible almost flawlessly unless I somehow activate both back to back within seconds of each other. I'm always going to have one or the other, because again, dodging will get back a little bit of my smoke ability, and then using my smoke should get back a little bit of my dodge if I'm using it around enemies. And even then, being invisible with the graviton forfeit will also increase my regen while I'm invisible, and I have longer visibility, so I'm pretty much again always going to have one of these up. Now this tribute bearer is being difficult and it's running, and like I said, the psychopomp is great here. What you can do is put the psychopomp where the tribute bearer might run, and that way you don't have to go through your area denial damage in order to get to its hiding space. So there I killed 3 Thrall and an Acolyte just by dunking, so that's an example of how if you allow the person who has invisibility to go out there and dunk, they can clear up the small enemies, and as a teammate of those, then your job is to try to pick at the big stuff, so that way your teammate can move freely. And the good thing about this area, even though it's going to take up a lot of our reses, is that it's not a situation where the wizards will only spawn after you've cleared them all out. For the most part, that wizard in the middle will keep respawning after a certain amount of time, from what I'm seeing. So that wizard there is the one you want to focus on. You don't want to be too far out into an exposed area. You want to just kill the wizard that spawns in the middle again and again, and try not to get too far to one side or the other, so you can get trapped by champions, or you can get trapped just by a bunch of ads that happen to focus you all at once, like a Shrieker spawns at the wrong time while the Acolytes are shooting at you, and then a wizard starts attacking you with their non-stop attack that they do, and all of a sudden you're stuck. So this hallway here, the entrance, is where I like to stay, because I have two sides that I can play from. I can get closer by these smaller pillars if I want to. I can actually move up to the planter area where I'm at in front of me, or I can go all the way up. If I get in real trouble, I can go all the way up the ramp behind me and pick at them from far away, go invisible, walk in, again, pick up the token, and then deposit that token at the closest cup where it needs to be deposited. And again, you can see where it's telling me that I need to take this one with that down arrow. So again, dunking, I'm going to refresh my invisibility with a few seconds left. Usually that's going to give you like 12 seconds to get you kind of your max invisibility time. And in that time, my other abilities already recovered, so I have invis again. Now, since the Shrieker is popped, you can actually open the Shrieker sometimes by doing damage to it. Doing damage to the Shrieker is a way sometimes to wake it up. If it doesn't wake up, then I would continue to try to damage it and not put yourself in a position where you get too close. And just let it stay closed and kill the enemies around it first. Then you can try to proximity open it by getting close to it, and then just go in biz and don't even engage with it until you're at a safe distance. Now, as you can see here, I'm getting a little bit aggressive. I'm gambling a little bit because I'm trying to make sure that I get these tribute bears killed quicker so we can get out of this area quicker and not be stuck here forever. So if you want to play it safe, if you get to half health, you can just hide, get your health back, and start again. But me, I'm pushing a little bit because I'm just trying to get through this space. And again, my teammates are dead. I want to make sure that I'm getting out of here before they can burn through all our reses. We've got 10 revives left so far, but at this point, I'm thinking they're going to use all 10 just in this room alone. So as you see there too, again, after dunking, that wizard took heavy damage. So that wizard's like half dead just because it was close to the plate where I was dunking at the time. And now I see the ogre as the biggest threat right now because it's not even an unstoppable, it's just a regular ogre, so it can run you down and you can't do nothing about it. So that's why I'm picking at the ogre first over anything else. So my other brave teammate out there is rezzing the teammate that was dead in the corner, and that teammate over there is, I believe, going to put down his barricade and try to do something from that corner to try to knock down some of these wizards. But I'm pretty sure, if I remember this run correctly, that teammate ends up not successfully holding down that area and has to kind of relocate and dies again. Now from here, what I'm looking for is I was looking for any of the pickups and also ammo. And since I'm in that area where I go invisible, sometimes enemies will still attack the area where they last see you. So I clear out completely before trying to get that res, because I didn't want to try to stand there and then have like the barrier knight, for example, hit me with the shredder over and over again and take me out. And since the barrier knight's in a good spot, I don't want it to get away, so I'm going to use heavy in this case. Normally I don't use heavy on the barrier knights because I want to kill them just with my bow alone to save heavy for the ogre. But since I'm alone, everybody was dead at the time, I said let me just kill this knight real fast while I can, and then I'll get out there and I'll try to get my reses. So that res I decided to turn around on. I said nope, because again the knight was just constantly firing its shredder at that orb. If I were to step in front of that knight, even if I jump above the shredder, as soon as I land, it's going to hit me 2 or 3 times in quick succession, and it's just going to kill me. So I'm like, all right, let me just get this deposit done, try to get some attention off the enemies, and then from there I should be able to get a res. I see that the ogre is beaming that particular orb, and I'm going to give it some time to get off of it. And you'll see me here in a second get like really close to that res and res it from a distance where I won't be in the beam, and then take off again just in case the ogre decides to change its beam to my last location. And again, I'm trying to hurry. I feel like a little pressure to try to get out there quickly to get the reses, and so this is why I'm being a little bit more risky. If you were more disciplined, you would do what I'm doing right now and wait until your health is completely full. I toss my grenade out there just in case the wizard decides to move up, and that way it'll punish it and it'll knock its shields down, which it's doing here, for trying to move up and hit me with this rapid attack over and over and over again. And so you can see really why I like this area, because even though that wizard is constantly spamming its attack, the splash damage is not reaching me. And so you can tuck into the corners here, right where I'm standing, and this is a really safe area as long as you're patient and you allow your shields to fully come back. So now that the wizard's dead, the knight's looking for me where it was. I'm able to get the token off the ground, and I'm able to stand back and get the res. I'm going to then go and deposit this token, and then try to use that as a distraction. That damage that it does stuns the enemies around me, to go and get the res without them shooting at the res, because before this, that enemy that was standing there, that knight, was just shooting at Shredder over and over. I get the res, make him invisible, so he gets a chance to relocate without getting set upon by the enemies. And now I'm going to go about trying to get the very last tribute, so that I can dunk that tribute and get us out of here. I believe one of them actually is able to pick it up and get it dunked in that time. So ogre's down. Now I'm going to start worrying about the wizard. In this situation where the wizard's hiding, so I'm going to use my grenade launcher. And as you see, you can use it very effective, because if you put it directly behind that area, the wizard has no choice but to come out. And also, as you notice, once we're done dunking that last tribute, the enemies don't all despawn. So if you have a teammate that's being attacked still, or if you have like a group of enemies that are there, try to just check on your teammates to see if they need a couple of enemies killed and they need a little bit of help. I shot a few enemies before I left, and the enemy that is left, my two teammates should be able to handle that one acolyte, hopefully. Now, coming to the next area, I recommend, if you have a loadout similar to mine where you're using range to your advantage and safety, that you try to pick at what you can from up here on the bridge. You're not going to be able to hit a whole lot from this higher level, but as you can see, I'm still picking at the ogre. I'm kind of getting the ogres to move up, and they're going to be in a position soon where I'll be able to stun them with one shot. And if you really do this well, since you have a triple fire linear, you can like drag it across and stun both, like you see me do here, with one shot. And so that's what I'm going to try to do, is just keep them grouped up, keep them close, keep picking at them and stun them as needed, so that I can get some additional damage on them. As you can see, my teammate is really pushed up, so I was trying my best to get a stun on them, and I just happened to switch to my grenade launcher accidentally there. I wasn't actually trying to get the aerial denial down, but if it would have reached them, that would have been great. So now I know my teammates pushed up on them. I don't have to worry about stunning anymore, and that they're dead here. There is going to be a shrieker that spawns in between these two little fountains, and as you'll see, I try to position myself kind of under it, to where when it does spawn, I'll hear it. But it's kind of fast the way it attacks, so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to move up here to the top and stand back here, and just anytime it spawns, I'm going to not move until it tries to attack me, and then just kill it when it does try to attack me. So right there you see me ignoring it, and I'm using my bow as an advantage to get this wizard's health trickle down. And of course our teammate dead again down there. For whatever reason, decided that it was a good idea to just sit in a place where he can get attacked by both wizards. Again, I don't recommend moving up there, because the Shrieker is not that much of a threat. It's not going to kill you if you keep an eye on it. And being down there means you're going to be shot by acolytes. Acolytes are going to throw grenades at you. The boss is going to be able to hit you with his lightning strikes, especially when it goes into its super, and again can end the run if it just hits everybody at the wrong time. If you're stacked up behind like a barricade, for example, the boss will be able to fire its ability, creating splash damage, and can kill you behind your barricade. So I personally rather be back, get this wizard to the next phase, because again, any damage that you do here is useless. The wizard is going to be trapped in a bubble by the two scions, and so this damage doesn't carry over, so it's not really that important to, you know, get the damage in here, quote unquote, to carry over into the boss fight. The boss is going to spawn with full health in the mindscape. So just hang back, pick at the boss, use your scout, use whatever you have that's a distance that's replenishable, and just when the boss gets low enough health, you're going to see these two scions pop up. Boss is going to teleport you. You don't have to move up or anything. It'll teleport you from where you stand. And it also, I believe, moves your reses in. I don't think there's any worry about, for example, let's say we don't get the res out here. This person is going to be stuck out here while you're in the mindscape. I don't think that can happen, although I'm pretty sure it has at some point, a little buggy. So that's what we're doing right now, is running in to get the res. But again, I'm pretty sure it would send that res with us, and we pick it up at the platform where you spawn in. Now, similar to the other Psi Ops Battleground, you have a platform here that you can retreat to. The difference is this platform is a lot harder to get to, because if you don't get a high enough jump, you're not going to mantle up, and you're going to land in front of the platform on these rocks that are just below it. It's okay because you can jump straight up from there, and as long as you get up before the timer countdown kills you, because it's a kill zone, you'll be okay. And you'll see me do that multiple times. I'll jump from there, land on the rocks, jump straight up, and then I will be able to mantle up here, and I'll be using this area during the middle phases, and also whenever the Savathuns spawn, because they are a little farther away in this area that in the other Grandmaster, where you're kind of more exposed. You actually have these two towers to the right and left that are going to kind of block off the bosses for the most part, so you won't really have to worry about the Savathuns trying to hit you with their lightning barrage from far away. The only thing you have to worry about is when you go down there to pick up the spear, that you don't get hit with the area of attack from either of the Savathuns, whether it's the lightning strike attack or if it's the Nova Bomb, because those will both wipe you. And if you're clustered together, even if you're underneath, like there used to be like little hiding spots on both sides, but even if you're in those now, those attacks will go through those and they will kill you and end your run. And now what I'm doing there with that grenade is I'm just trying to pull out any enemies that hide behind these two little walls, these little half walls on either side of the boss. Enemies, knights will hide there, and they'll wait until you jump down to try to grab the spear and then try to ambush you from those locations. So that's what I'm doing there. And, you know, I tried to get my air denial grenade to kind of fire a little volley there, but they just stop in the air. So unfortunately, I'd have to get a little closer to use that. And as you can see here, now we've got an unstoppable to deal with, so that's what I'm working on right now. That's the major threat to my teammates, so I'm focusing the unstoppable first. And again, love these linears, these triple burst linears. They chew through champions. Got another super there. I'm trying to use it as I can on cooldown. And again, another reason that you want a super like mine, like this Deadfall super, is that enemies hide behind these little half walls, not only the ones close to us, but the ones that are by Savathun right now. And you can use your tether, you can use your grenade to pull enemies or make enemies move from hiding. That way you can clear these zones, not only for yourself, but for your teammates to pick up the spear and get back safely. Another thing with the spear you want to know is how to use the spear. When you pick it up, you're going to want to spin back around and use your grenade ability to teleport. That way, Savathun will attack your last known position. After you teleport, you'll be safe from a lot of the attacks. The only one that I think might still kill you is if she happens to just throw like a Nova Bomb like she just did into an area where you're teleporting. Might still catch you, and then of course, always worry about the lightning strike area of attack that you just saw happen right there, because that will always kill you, and it wipes you out fast. Like a lot of times, if you are close enough and you get hit with 3 or 4 of those strikes in succession, you're just done. No matter how strong you are, no matter what your resilience is, if you're behind a barricade, it will kill you straight out. So you see me here, when you have the spear, you can usually jump high enough because you have that little boost in mobility to get straight up on here. Sometimes without the spear, or if you mistime your jump with the spear, you'll have to land in front on those rocks and then hop up to the top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop in and I'm going to try to quick fall. That's going to allow me to go invisible, although I would have preferred to be able to use the quick fall to help my teammate. In this case, I had to get out of there and use my teleport to make sure that I'm not killed by the enemy that's getting ready to explode. So I ended up just grabbing the spear and bouncing because I saw the Bane enemy and I knew the Bane enemy was going to activate ahead of time. That's just a little bit of situational awareness, knowing your enemies and what they do. And so I was able to get out of there safely. And now that I have my abilities back, now I can go in there and try to get a res. Hopefully not getting hit by a lightning attack. As you can see, here it comes. And I'm just kind of getting out of there quickly, getting out of the range of it. It has like a set range, so once you get used to it, you'll know. Right now what I'm doing is I'm just watching my teammate to see if he survives, trying to time my res. As Savathun is casting her attack, you want to be running at her outside of the range of the attack, so when the attack dissipates you get the res and get back out again before the cooldown on that attack comes back, because there's like a cooldown. She won't use that attack back to back, without a interval in between. And as long as you're able to get the res during that interval, you should be able to get yourself out of that area before the attack happens. Your teammate may not be so lucky, but at least you tried. And so there, I didn't want to jump back down if they still had spears. I just wanted to play it safe, and so what I did is I stayed back, looked at her health, and watched to see if they were going to finish her off, which they did. So now what I'm doing is I'm just supporting my teammates from the top here. Any of the enemies that get too close to them, I'm going to try to switch my target to. So that knight, for example, I saw I was getting a little close to my teammate, so there I am protecting my teammates. Anything that's moving, anything that's jumping down into the main area, I'm going to want to try to focus on that first. Try to get a nade behind that wall there, but it looks like it fell a little bit short. And unfortunately for me, my teammate moved up to the point that the boss, instead of being out in the middle area where it normally sits, kind of fell back. And so this is going to be a little slower portion of the GM, just because I'm not going to move up myself. I don't want to get caught in an attack that's going to wipe us all out at one time and just waste the 26 minutes that we've already invested. And of course all of these revives that we've already invested. So I'm going to just hang back and plink at the boss and just try to make sure that, again, if any enemies I see are encroaching on my teammates, like let's say for example Spooky's over here on the right and the knight is coming around the right hand corner and get ready to jump up on him to the point where he's not going to be able to get away and he's going to be sandwiched, then I'll focus that knight to prevent my teammate from actually taking that damage and trying to save that res. So here's a knight coming after Loose. Took out that knight there, and then the boss is fortunately in a place where I can actually do damage to the boss. Spooky's dead again, so he's on timeout. Oh, Loose looks like he's going to try to pick him up, so I'm going to try to poke at this knight to stun that knight so that way he can get the res off. Loose is also going to be surrounded by a bunch of acolytes, so right now I'm picking at the boss and I'm like, is he going to go? Is he not going to go? And when he does go, normally I would go over there and help him out and try to get all the kills, but I can see him out the corner of my eye getting the freezes off, so he's pretty set. And again, he had his heal there, so he's going to have a lingering overshield. I did help out a little bit by shattering those enemies like we talked about, trying to keep an eye on the shatter and try to get the whole group from the shatter. And since I can't really do a bunch of damage where I'm at right now, all I'm doing is just picking at what I see moving, and I'm looking to see if there's any enemies that may be around that I can take out. And so now this is going to be the hardest part of the GM. Just like the other GM, when you have the two Savathuns out, it's always the most difficult because you have to balance getting attacked from both sides. You have to balance Bane enemies, as you can see there in the middle, and you have to be able to somehow get to the spears while getting attacked by everybody all at the same time. Fortunately, on this GM, you do have a little bit more cover. You're not as exposed, for example, as in the other GM on the Cosmodrome, where you have these little half walls only, and then you can still get attacked from enemies on all sides. If you, for the most part, are all the way to one side left or one side right, the only thing you have to worry about is getting attacked by Savathun's big area of attack, because for the most part you can line of sight the smaller enemies. But right here you'll see I'm trying to keep an eye on where Savathun's at and the enemies are at, and I'm trying to watch my void invisibility so that I don't run out. And so that's what I'm doing now, is I'm getting my invisibility time to recharge. I'm just going to get back here and just try to plink away at the Savathun on the left. Eventually I see that they're damaging the one on the right pretty good, and I switch to that one. And so that can also be something that you would want to make a change on your run, is to see that, okay, they're working on the right Savathun, let me help them with the right Savathun. But because they were already on it, I was like, let me see if I can lower some time down a little bit on this left Savathun while they kill the right one, thinking that two of them wanted me, they were going to kill the right one faster. I was incorrect on that. And so that was just one thing that, again, I was assuming that they had it, but I should have probably, looking back at this run, helped them kill that right one. Maybe that would have helped avoid one or two of those deaths, because again, the Savathun was really close. If I had thrown a couple of spears over to the Savathun on the right in between, they would have already killed that Savathun. So now what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get into a position where I get this spear and I get safe, and then I get the Savathun kill. Then I'll get the reses, and here's where I almost die, and here's where it's important to run your concussive dampener and your arc resist, because you see there, I got hit by two of those. If I'd have got hit by just one more, that would have ended our run, and I would have been pissed. So it's really important that you're running your resists, and that you're watching your positioning, and not getting too up close on your teammates or getting too impatient, because again, yes, it takes a little while longer when you're patient, but it's not going to take as long as starting over from the beginning. And as you can see there, part of me, looking at that person on the ground who has been dead over and over and over again, I don't even know what the count is right now. You'll be able to see the count because I'll put it in post-editing. But Jesus, like, I want to say he's already died like 10 plus times, and he's there calling for the res, like, res me. And I don't even want to res him at this point, because he's been using so many of the revives. We're down to 3 revives. We still have to kill this Savathun and the boss, and I'm like, do I type to this guy? Do I say something to him? And I'm like, no. Like, I don't even remember who the leader of the group was, because I joined somebody's group, and I don't want him to troll me and boot me at the end last second. So I'm just like, you know what? Let me just finish this run, and then I can say what I'm going to say afterwards, if I'm going to say anything, right? And so that's what I did, is I went out and I got the reses, and now what I'm doing is I'm trying to curve the spear around the corner to hit the Savathun. If you throw it slightly to the left or the right of the Savathun, it'll actually curve and project around the item that it's hiding behind, whatever it is, whether it's a tower, whether there's like a tree or something. You'll be able to kind of curve your bullet around that to hit the Savathun and get the damage in. So as soon as the Savathun died, very first reaction is, let me get the heck out, because I know that there's a chance that the enemies spawning will all attack at the same point, and they'll wipe us out. So like the boss could go into super, and then all of a sudden you have Boomer Knights shooting at the same time. The boss takes half your health, Boomer Knights take your other half, and now your run's over. And I've seen that happen where people have stacked and that's happened to them. So first instinct whenever you see that all the Savathun's are dead is to get out and get safe. And again, another thing that blows my mind is that if you know this run, you know that right now is winning time. You've already done the hard work. You've already taken out Savathun. Where I'm standing right now, that boss is in its super, and it cannot attack me because I'm out of its range. So it's just a sitting duck. And as long as you don't move up on the boss, and as long as you don't put the boss in a position where it falls back, you're going to be able to plink at this boss no problem. But as you can see, my teammates have moved up, and my teammates have put the boss in a position where now the boss is falling back. And so now I'm in the position where I have to pick at this boss from farther away. I'm not sure if I'm losing a little damage to range drop off at this point, but I know that I'm not going to blow this. We only have 3 reses left. This boss is essentially dead, so I'm not going down there. Not until this boss is dying or close to dead. Another thing about this boss is that if they had just kind of done what they should have done and cleared all the ads out, you can run up on this boss and get the finish off on this boss. Because again, this is a loosened hive, so when you kill this boss, it's going to leave a ghost. Now, unfortunately for me, I was ready for this, but I didn't expect it to take so long to cover ground on this boss that you'll see here in a little bit. Once I kill this boss and I go to get the finish, And by the way, I'm using proximity wards, so that's something that's strong to have in your build, because when you're in your finish, you can actually get killed by the enemies around the boss, and it'll still end your run. So with proximity ward, you have a strong overshield, and then I have invisibility once I get the finish off to get out of the area and clear the area without getting attacked by enemies. So that almost ensures that 100% you're not going to get killed during the animation and then have your run ruined because you got killed during the animation and you didn't spawn or respawn fast enough to exit the mindscape and then finish the run. Because that can happen too. Like, let's say you kill the boss and then they kill you, but the timer that ticks down to 0 hasn't fully ticked down to 0 by the time that you get pulled out of the mindscape. Well, everybody gets resurrected again, and then you get put in front of the chest. So you can save a run like that too. It's just I wouldn't want to be in that position. And so again, I'm taking my sweet time, clicking at the boss, making sure that it's not going to get close enough to do damage to me. I actually back up a little bit on the platform, just watching my feet not to fall off. And so here's going to be the kill. And I put that a little bit too high. I was trying to put it right above the arch on the right so that if the boss falls back again, that it's not going to be able to get away from me. And so you can see, I know where I'm going. I'm going to get this boss here. Trying to get over the damage, get up, get the finish. Nope, boss comes right back. So first thing I do is clear the area. Now I'm going to look to see who's not getting attacked on the reses. I'm going to get a res, but then I'm going to get quickly out of there because a boomer knight could be attacking the res any moment. So now I got a res, and then I'm going to leave it up to Luce to try to get the other res, and hopefully they can now help me take the last little chunk of this boss's health and try to get the boss in a position where one of them can finish it, is what I'm thinking. But in this case, Spooky gets up here with me, puts his shield down. Fortunately, the boss can't do splash damage from that distance to us. That was one of my worries. Is, oh great, now this boss can be able to hit the shield and splash me. So I see the boss is almost dead. Spooky's doing some damage to it. Let me let Luce get rezzed here. Hopefully Luce can help knock this boss down and I can get in there and get an invisible finish. And so that's what I'm waiting on. And I'm coming around to get in position. I know I've got my invisibility. I've got 2 invisibilities going right now. I'm like, all right, they got this. But nobody's shooting the boss, so I'm like, all right, let me just throw a quick nade. I'm gonna hide, get in there, get the finish with the overshield, get out of the area, boom, got it done. So with this build, running it the way that it should be, you can see how strong it is. And you can see how salty I am too, by the way, because I'm like, just in the future, bro, like, don't, don't sit there calling for reses and, like you're dead this whole time. So, again, I normally don't get super salty on people. And I should have even said something to Luce like, hey, thanks for the, telling me great. But man, I was super, super salty on this one because I was like, bro, you just kept dying over and over and over again. Didn't get the hint. So that was that. Other than that, though, if you have any additional questions, if you are struggling on this on a different class and you're looking for suggestions for that class, go ahead and drop a comment down below and I'll be glad to help give you my opinions. Hopefully this video helps you guys get through this GM. Check this one off your list. You only have to do it one time for your Conqueror, and I'm only going to do it one time unless I have a friend, for example, that needs it, and I can go through and kind of get on the struggle bus with them too. But other than that, thanks very much for watching the end. I'll see you guys in the next video.